So we now have Veil installed on our machine. If you've gotten through this process, you will now know how to install Veil on a CentOS 7 machine or even Fedora. But now I just want to explain in this introductory video of what Veil actually is. Now, if you understand antivirus software traditionally work on a signature process. They look for signatures in a virus and then detect that as a virus once they know the signature. Veil is built to bypass and prevent antivirus solutions from detecting their presence. It's done by encrypting the payload. It basically makes a random string of characters contained each time, and it is very unique in its production. So what happens though is a traditional hacker will understand this process by taking a payload. It either is a created payload or it could be a virus that is already in the marketplace. And what they do is they use Veil to create a random, basically a different version of that virus, which will bypass and evade most traditional antivirus solutions. So why would someone use Veil as part of ethical hacking training? The real reason is that Veil will be used by most hackers. Any skilled hacker would be using tools like Veil to take an exploit, maybe created through Metasploit, and use that Metasploit and use Veil on top of it to make sure it's polymorphic in nature, meaning it can change from host to host and then evade or bypass most traditional antivirus solutions. Now, why is this important? If you're working in a corporation or helping a corporation with ethical hacking, you need to understand that a skilled hacker would be looking at ways to bypass or infiltrate a network. And one of the ways is to look at the antivirus solutions that are present, find a way to mask or create a random and unique payload that can be used to exploit vulnerabilities within an organization. So if you understand how skilled hackers work and how they are using tools to figure out ways to bypass antivirus solutions, you will have a greater understanding of how to be able to prevent or stop these types of threats. So we have seen how to install Metasploit. We've looked at how to install Veil. We've looked at all the potential pitfalls and challenges that are required to overcome to get Veil working on a CentOS 7 or Fedora machine. This is important to understand because we've gone through the process because a skilled hacker would be performing these types of steps as well. Once you understand the psychology, the motivation, the reasons for a hacker, a skilled hacker, to go through this process to then enable them to infiltrate networks, you get a better understanding of why you need to understand this to help prevent these types of attacks. Any organization needs to understand that hackers out there are not using off-the-shelf products to infiltrate networks. Antivirus solutions will only protect once they understand the signature of a virus. But when a virus mutates or malware is mutated in this form, created through Metasploit, creating payloads through Metasploit, and using Veil to basically hide and change the shape of the actual malware, it makes it almost impossible for traditional antivirus solutions to detect. So before we begin, I just wanted to give you an overview of exactly what it's going to take to be an ethical hacker, to understand the psychology of hackers, so that you can prevent these types of attacks. It makes you a very well sought after professional to help organizations prevent these types of attacks. Now, we'll be using Metasploit to create a payload. We'll then be using Veil to change the malware, and then we'll look at how this malware is basically undetectable by most antivirus solutions. A hacker would perform these types of steps to take their payload, run it through an antivirus solution prior to looking at infiltrating a network. Because once they've got access to a network, they can obviously change data, steal data, manipulate data to their advantage, and release the data potentially out into the marketplace. And this is a real threat. It's a very significant threat, especially as we move into this highly digital age, because these types of payloads could also infiltrate Android networks, mobile phone users, and it opens up a whole new kettle of fish when it comes to what hackers are able to do. So now we'll go ahead, now that we've installed Veil, we've installed Metasploit, we'll look at how we can use Metasploit to create a payload and take that payload and use Veil to make it undetectable by most antivirus solutions. Now, hackers could potentially also take a traditional virus, run it through Veil, and also create an undetectable virus.